Over the last few days, the internet has exploded over the shocking claim that Rachel Zegler is allegedly demanding that studios like The Simpsons and South Park remove episodes that mock her disastrous Snow White remake. It sounds unbelievable, a Disney star trying to censor some of the most savage satirical shows in history? But the rumors won't stop, and the timing couldn't be worse.
Here's a story from Variety. Disney scales back Snow White Hollywood premiere amid Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot controversies. Now, this is the lighter headline.
Rachel's Snow White movie is already considered one of Disney's biggest failures ever. And now, memes, viral videos, and decades-old parodies are dragging her name through the mud all over again. The real question is, how much of this is true? Is Rachel really trying to erase the mockery? Or is the internet simply weaponizing old jokes to fuel an even bigger backlash? Over the past few days, rumors have exploded across the internet.
How Rachel Zegler disrespected the original and a classic from Walt Disney, something that completely saved Disney and changed the company and changed animation in general.
Rachel Zegler is allegedly pressuring studios like The Simpsons and South Park to pull episodes that mock her Snow White remake. It sounds wild, but given Rachel's rocky history with public criticism, a lot of people believe it. So far, there's no confirmed lawsuit or official takedown notice. No formal moves from Disney. But that hasn't stopped the internet from running with it. The chaos started when an old Simpsons episode resurfaced, one that mocked the exact modernized changes Disney made to Snow White, years before Rachel's movie even existed. Combined with Rachel's past interviews, where she slammed the original Snow White and framed the story as outdated, it created the perfect storm.
There's another controversy, and this one's actually kind of funny, and that is most people have been complaining that the evil witch who is jealous of Snow White's beauty is substantially more attractive than Snow White.
Rachel has never been shy about pushing back when criticism hits hard. She's clapped back at trolls, posted emotional reactions, and even hinted at feeling like a victim when the backlash got too loud. So, even without proof, the idea of Rachel quietly trying to erase the mockery didn't sound so far-fetched to fans, especially now, when her name is tied to one of Disney's biggest disasters ever. And if the rumors are true, Rachel might be learning the hard way.
And oh boy, is it bad. Not only do we have this video from Not the Bee, where they're scrolling through the website and all of the seats are basically available, nobody's seeing the movie.
Once the internet smells blood, there's no way to make it forget. If Rachel Zegler really is trying to erase the mockery, it's not hard to see why. Disney's Snow White remake didn't just flop. It became one of the biggest embarrassments in the company's history. Despite a massive marketing push and endless media coverage, the film opened with a dismal $8 million worldwide. For Disney, a company that practically prints money with its princess movies, this wasn't just a bad result. It was historic.
Look at this one. So many people here to watch Snow White. To be fair, this clip right here actually was from a video where they show the screen and then show the audience is empty.
Snow White now holds the record for the worst opening of any live-action remake Disney has ever released. Worse yet, the movie hasn't even come close to earning back its bloated production costs, let alone the tens of millions spent on marketing. Industry insiders are now estimating total losses could hit as much as $600 million once everything is counted. The situation got so bad that some theaters reportedly pulled the movie early due to almost no ticket sales. In some places, Snow White screenings were practically empty, fueling even more memes, more jokes, and more humiliation for Rachel. It wasn't just a box office failure. It became a pop culture punching bag. And for someone already struggling with public perception, the disaster only made the internet's mockery louder.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed on.
As if the box office humiliation wasn't enough, the internet uncovered something even more brutal. The Simpsons had already mocked Rachel Zegler's Snow White movie, over a decade before it even existed. Clips from a 2009 episode started going viral, and what they showed was almost too perfect to believe. In the parody, a character brags about creating her own original versions of the Seven Dwarfs, just like Disney did in the remake, replacing the classics with random CGI creatures. Even worse, the episode mocked the idea of Snow White rejecting love altogether, claiming that a woman doesn't need a prince to be complete. The exact messaging Rachel pushed during her interviews. Viewers were stunned. It felt like The Simpsons had a crystal ball, predicting the very choices that would later spark massive backlash against Disney. And even though the episode was old, it didn't matter. To millions of people seeing it for the first time, it looked like The Simpsons had roasted Rachel and Disney in real time. That perception spread like wildfire, fueling the rumors that Rachel was furious, and possibly trying to make the mockery disappear. The irony was brutal. While Disney spent hundreds of millions trying to update a classic, a 15-year-old cartoon joke exposed exactly why audiences were turning away.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
If The Simpsons made Rachel look bad, her own interviews poured gasoline on the fire. Instead of focusing on the magic and nostalgia fans loved, Rachel publicly trashed the original 1937 Snow White. In one viral interview, she called the classic prince character a guy who literally stalks her and bragged that her Snow White wouldn't dream about true love. She made it clear, romance was out, independence was in, whether fans liked it or not.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
To longtime Disney audiences, it felt like a slap in the face. People weren't just upset about creative changes, they were furious that Rachel seemed to mock the very story that made Snow White a legend in the first place. And it didn't stop there. Rachel's political social media posts, especially her aggressive comments during election cycles, only fueled more backlash. In one particularly controversial post, she wished that Trump voters would never know peace, painting herself as highly partisan in an already divided fan base. Instead of winning over skeptics, Rachel's messaging only hardened the criticism against her. She wasn't seen as a refreshing new face of Disney. She was viewed as disrespectful, divisive, and completely out of touch with the audience she needed most. By the time Snow White finally hit theaters, it wasn't just a movie people were avoiding. It was a statement, a rejection of the entire marketing strategy that put Rachel at the center. And the louder the backlash got, the more it looked like even The Simpsons hadn't gone far enough in predicting the disaster. Rachel Zegler's Snow White disaster didn't happen in a vacuum. It exposed a much bigger issue that Disney can't hide anymore. Audiences are sick of the company's modernized remakes.
Then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
For years, Disney tried to update classic fairy tales with more socially aware messages, reimagining characters, rewriting love stories, and replacing traditional heroes with modern ideals. But instead of winning over new generations, they alienated the very fans who made these stories timeless in the first place. The warning signs were already there. The Little Mermaid struggled at the box office. Dumbo flopped hard. Mulan faced backlash from both political sides, but Snow White hit differently, because it wasn't just the movie that people rejected. It was the marketing, the messaging, and the smug attitude that seemed to say, if you don't like it, you're the problem.
People will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Investors noticed. Disney's stock took a hit. Industry analysts started openly questioning whether Disney's live-action remake strategy was broken beyond repair. And now, every time an old Simpsons clip, a viral meme, or a YouTube parody resurfaces, it's a reminder. Disney spent hundreds of millions trying to fix stories that weren't broken, and ended up breaking their own brand instead. Rachel Zegler may be the face of this collapse. But behind her, Disney's entire foundation of remakes is showing cracks that might be impossible to patch. The failure of Snow White didn't just spark disappointment, it reignited a full-blown culture war. For millions of fans, this wasn't just about a single movie being bad. It was about Hollywood rewriting beloved stories to fit modern political messages, and doing it while lecturing the very audiences who made those stories famous. Snow White became the perfect symbol of everything fans were tired of. Classic heroes replaced, old romances erased, and centuries-old fairy tales turned into political statements. It didn't feel like a creative update. It felt like a rejection of the magic, the wonder, and the timeless values that made these stories last in the first place. Rachel Zegler's interviews, Disney's marketing choices, and the parade of memes mocking the film only sharpened the divide. Instead of bringing people together around a new take on a classic, Snow White became a lightning rod, a warning sign that even fairy tales aren't safe from culture wars anymore. And the internet, never one to miss an opportunity, made sure that the backlash stayed alive. Old Simpsons clips, South Park jokes, viral edits. Every time Rachel's Snow White resurfaced online, it wasn't as a triumph, it was as a punchline. Disney didn't just lose money on Snow White, they lost trust. And in a world where memes travel faster than marketing campaigns, trust is the one thing they can't afford to lose.
I'm a narcissist.
After everything, the failed movie, the cultural backlash, the meme wars, it all circles back to one viral claim that set the internet on fire. Rachel Zegler is allegedly trying to pressure studios like The Simpsons and South Park to take down episodes that mock her Snow White remake. The rumor hit at the worst possible time. Rachel was already at the center of Disney's biggest public embarrassment in years, and the internet was still gleefully roasting every move she made. So when whispers started spreading that she was trying to censor satire, two of the most savage shows on television, it felt like throwing gasoline on an already raging fire. Even without formal lawsuits or official takedown notices, the damage was done. The story fit too perfectly with Rachel's public image, sensitive to criticism, quick to react emotionally, and increasingly seen as part of Disney's disastrous new era. Whether the censorship claims were real or just another internet myth almost didn't matter. The perception stuck, and it added a brand new layer to Rachel Zegler's growing reputation as a star who couldn't take a joke, and a company that had completely lost touch with its audience. At this point, it's clear. Rachel Zegler's Snow White isn't just a box office flop. It's a symbol of a much bigger problem. From viral memes to old Simpsons parodies, from backlash over interviews to rumors of censorship, everything surrounding Rachel's movie shows how fast public trust can collapse when Hollywood feels disconnected from its audience.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
And once that trust is gone, no amount of marketing, modern messaging, or studio spin can bring it back. Whether Rachel Zegler actually demanded episodes be taken down or not almost doesn't matter anymore. The damage is done. The internet doesn't forget. And in today's world, perception is reality. For Disney, this should have been a simple win, a timeless story, a magical remake, a new generation of fans. Instead, it turned into a public relations nightmare, a financial disaster, and a cautionary tale about how even fairy tales aren't immune to backlash. The real question now isn't whether Snow White can recover. It's whether Disney can, and whether Hollywood will finally learn that some classics are loved for a reason. And maybe they were never meant to be rewritten. Because sometimes the more you try to fix what isn't broken, the faster you destroy it.